what are you trying to do? What purpose are you trying to fulfill? When you as a 35-year-old man see me sitting down with these young women trying to say, you don't need to do this, you don't have to do this for money, and you like attack it and try to be like, Candace is just a bitch, or like whatever, like she's blah, 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 she's just being a high school mean girl. It's like, no, I am trying to tell these women that they are worth more. And when I said to that girl at the end of it, which I don't believe you showed, that I will pray for you and that you can do much more than this, that came from the heart, actually.
No, that is the most condescending thing a religious person could say to a non-religious person. I will pray for you.
Listen, I did a part 1 to this conversation. I'll leave a link to it down in the description box down below. Maybe the comment box as well. Go down there, check it out, get yourself caught up. This half of the conversation gets so damn spicy. Shout out to Candace Owens. Shout out to Destiny.
Okay, final question.
I think, by the way, women, by the way, all across the board are graduating at higher rates than men. But I do want to say, because I do want to make a point about what you do. Because I did see that you did a video and you were like taking the side of hoes. Like you saw this Candace.
Did she say selfish bitch? I must have misheard.
It's a selfish bitch. Should mention not marry her. That's
Holy. Oh, I'm gonna get triggered. I feel like I might lose my mind this episode. I agree that these people can be cringe sometimes, but you're saying she's a narcissistic that men shouldn't marry? You're taking that so far.
It's a partnership. It's a bond. It's forever.
But there's no difference between dating and marriage.
There is a difference. You just ignored it because you've got a dialogue tree and a narrative you want to push, and you're not going to engage with anything she's saying. She gave you a perfectly legitimate answer. It is a more permanent form of relationship. It's solidified by law. It's not something you just walk away from or break up from. It's a commitment, ideally for lifetime. She gave you a good answer. You just don't like to hear it because it was a good one, and you wouldn't expect a random OnlyFans girl to give you one. And now you're surprised that a bunch of girls that you thought were just going to be titty bimbos are actually giving you a run for your money.
You're still talking?
What?
Okay.
Some insecurity coming out of it.
Women today are very low value. Bash anybody.
I'm not bashing. Hold on. I'm not bashing. The women are low value, that they're going to have worse relationships and lives, and they're going to be unhappy, but I'm not bashing them.
What's so interesting about this is I did a reaction to this Candace Owens video, and I absolutely love her particular comments. I thought that it painted the picture of the modern woman correctly, calling out an OnlyFans bimbo for her reprehensible decision to become a OnlyFans bimbo when the young woman seemed at least sorta intelligent, I think represents that. But this Destiny right here was pre-divorce Destiny. This Destiny had not yet referred to his ex-wife in worse words than bimbo. But let's keep going.
Absolutely fascinating to see how someone's mind can be so warped. You know, in the same way that I think it's fascinating.
It's fat, bro.
It's fascinating, yeah.
To, you know, your lifestyle.
No, you're not respectful.
Okay.
Sitting down with hoes on the whatever podcast, and you
were being so rude to that lady that made the TikTok. Oh my God.
Okay. But the point is that you then went through
You called her a bitch.
You then went through this video and just tried to justify these lifestyles, right?
I don't think I was trying to justify the lifestyle. What I was doing was I was fighting it back against the insane judgment from one side to the other. We live in America. People should be able to live the lifestyles they want. As long as they're not harming other people, I think everybody has the right to pursue that.
This is that woke ass shit, okay? No, I think that there's certain structures and or boundaries and or frameworks that you should adhere to if you want a happy life. I think most of us would want a happy life, but they're looking at lifestyles of people that do not add up to a happy life. It's like they give the highlights of their goddamn life. Oh, OnlyFans. Oh, I make all of this goddamn money, not realizing that you're becoming closer and closer to Satan. Okay? Living in a limitless or a boundaryless world is like allowing a baby to eat all of the cake and ice cream that it wants. If you do that, well, it's harmful to that baby's body. You need to that's why school is a thing. That's why they teach us things. Maybe school is not such the best example, but you understand what I mean. Let's go.
I say to people that are watching this, to anybody that you follow, literally, you should take a measure and really ask yourself whether or not that person is telling you that stuff because they believe it,
or whether
or not that person is telling you something that ultimately it feels good because then it means that you can remove yourself from responsibility. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's fine. I can be a hoe, whatever. But is going to lead you to misery, right?
Right.
And so I tell people, you know, I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I've lived through a lot. Very proud of myself where I've ended up. And I'm trying to provide people the shortcuts. And I'm trying to tell you that, yes, I understand that as a young woman, if you jump onto OnlyFans, you can make money. And you can make money very quickly. But I am also telling you that if you do that, you will,
you're Lilith.
The overwhelming majority of people, can you find an exception? Sure, will regret that sort of a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
I think I'd probably agree with you.
To these young people that are listening to you doing the like, YOLO, if it makes you happy, Don't. I'm
Don't listen
telling
to
you,
them. No.
like, throw this out. It is trash. Like,
I agree. You shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young
You should not
person.
be aspiring to
You shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young
open
person.
relationships.
You should go to college
being
and get a degree instead.
Somebody that's just holding up a mirror to tell you that you're great and you're doing amazing. Like, you don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not great. You can do better, right? Your life is worth more. There are
college,
rules that
get a
work.
degree.
College is every single person that I went to school with is not using the degrees that they paid for.
What did you?
Hold on, before they get to the college discussion, pay attention to Candace right here. And I want to say that this is part because of her length as a commentator and her experience within it, and also it being a strong black woman. Her strong black woman is out strong black woman and Destiny's strong black woman. Why is it that I say that? Well, this is also a lesson in frame, in a sense that if someone in a debate or a conversation wants to try to throw out little red herrings, they want to throw out deflections, they want to try to move the goalposts, they will interrupt your flow and your thinking in order to be able to do that, to constantly keep you in a place of defensiveness, to constantly answering their odd questions that may never make sense. In your mind, you're trying to structure out the logicalness of something that they threw out you that was just like, wait a minute, where the hell did that come from? Meanwhile, what Candace is doing here is she's remaining to her points and bulldozing Destiny straight through that, right? She's not allowing him to cut him off. She's making her point extremely clear. What she's doing here is holding true conversational frame. She's not getting emotional. She's maintaining her points and, in fact, clarifying the way that Destiny framed her conversation on the Whatever podcast. And she's making sure that we hear her. Pay attention. That was really good.
What did you go to college for?
Journalism.
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like journalism stuff?
You probably don't know my backstory. So because my family was poor, I had to take out loans to go to school. My mom didn't even graduate high school. So
wait, why? If your family's poor, why would you have to take out loans to go to school?
What? That's when you do have to take out loans. Is when you're poor. If you're rich, you don't take out loans.
What? I just told you.
If your family's poor, why would you have to take out loans to go to school?
Why would I have to take out loans to go to? What do you mean? I have to take out loans my family can't afford to pay to put me through school.
Hold on. Was your family actually poor or did you just lie?
What are you talking about?
If you go to school and your family has a low gross income, you fill out the FAFSA. And the FAFSA is going to award you a ton of federal aid, assuming that you don't actually have the gross income from your parents to actually go to school. So
it depends on the school that you go to. Yeah, FAFSA might award some money, but it may not be enough to go to whatever the school is. The cost of these schools at $50,000 per year currently, FAFSA may not cover all of that, no matter how much in debt or how poor that you actually are.
if your parents are super poor, I don't know why you had to pay full out-of-state tuition to go to a university.
I did. Do you think? What do you mean? Did I lie?
I don't know how. If your parents are poor, if they have a low gross income, how do you not qualify for the FAFSA?
Okay. Well, all I can say to you is that I had to pay $35 almost. My school cost more, and by the end of it, and I'm also including because then I defaulted on my student loans and I had to pay it back. So now I had to pay back the bank for not being able to pay them on time.
So, something doesn't match up here.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you the truth, so I don't know what to say.
Did you fill out a FAFSA?
Yeah. Well, I also didn't have parents that could help me fill it out. I was a first-generation college student. My dad.
You didn't have a school, the same school counselor you told these people to ignore. You didn't talk to one of them and said, "Hey, can you help me fill out?"
Like if you're trying to shame me for not doing things right.
I'm not trying to shame you. I'm just saying the background doesn't make any sense. I'm not shaming anything.
I'm just like, I don't get your point here. Like, I'm telling you the truth. I have no reason to lie about this.
My point is, you complained about having $100,000 in debt. You told these people not to talk to counselors, and you said that your family was poor, so you went to school for journalism on an out-of-state tuition. You didn't fill out a FAFSA for any student aid. There's a ton of money there.
I'm just saying, like, what is your point in saying, am I lying about it? Like,
because I don't understand how you came from a poor family and didn't fill out a FAFSA and get a ton of student aid.
I did fill out FAFSA.
And they didn't give you anything?
I maybe got, in terms of I remember getting a Pell Grant that was like $8,000.
Okay. Per year?
I'm telling the truth. So I just want to be clear. I'm telling the truth about my life. Like, I don't know what to say to you. And I don't get what was your question of saying, like, why did you take out a loan if you were poor? I don't understand that question. Like, I don't get it.
Because the implication is that if you filled out a FAFSA, your parents' gross income is used to heavily determine the amount of student aid that you'll qualify for. And if you're coming from an incredibly poor family, you usually get a ton of student aid.
Well, that's not what happened. Maybe that's circumstance. And please, guys, jump in the chat. Like, if somebody said, Destiny, that's stupid. I don't think they just give you free college if you're poor. That's not my experience. Did you go to university? Did you get free money?
I did, and I got some free money, but I had to get married for it because my parents had a high gross income but a lot of debt, so I didn't qualify for the FAFSA.
A lot of this is really dependent upon that Candace, if she went to a public institution, she went out of state and paid a lot of money, or she went to a private institution, whether it be in state or out of state. Yeah, she got some money, just like I got some money. And I came from a single parent household where my dad was a school teacher, but I still left in debt. This seems like an odd thing that they're arguing right now. I want them to get back into talking about hoes.
That's why I had to get married at 19.
I paid back my student loans all by myself. So I could tell you that I spent over 6 figures paying back my student loans to attend the University of Rhode Island. And that is the truth. I mean, and no, I am not lying. My family does not have any money.
Okay.
My parents don't own anything. We don't even have a house. Like, we don't even own, obviously, I don't mean like we're homeless. I meant like, as in like my family didn't even own property. So it's like,
they were renting.
No, I'm not lying about that. So I don't know what rabbit we were chasing there.
Isn't the issue here then, why would you go? Also, I understand if you have to leave at any time, because he said you had a hard out at 3 and we're at 3:06. So
yeah.
I don't understand why you would go to an out-of-state school for a journalism degree and then turn around and blame colleges for being bad when it feels like...
I'm not blaming colleges for being bad. I am telling people the truth so that they can avoid making some of the mistakes.
Which is, don't go to an out-of-state school for a degree that might not confer a high amount of money?
I probably should have. Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry that I was 17 years old and I didn't have parents that were able to provide the economic advising. Of course, that would have been smarter. And my sister, 2 of my sisters went in state, but they still had really heavy loans. So I don't know about this FAFSA magic thing that you think happens. Then my sister paid about $20,000 a year when she went in state. So I just don't know what you're talking about at all with that, because all of my sisters, we all had to pay loans. My older sister just finished off paying her loan. So I don't know. I just don't know what you're talking about, the FAFSA magic button. And maybe if I missed the FAFSA magic button and they were going to pay for everything, then maybe I am just really stupid and I had no idea that they would just pay for everything.
I'll be honest, maybe it's like a difference in like areas or people that we talk to, maybe because the high school I went to was like very oriented and trying to get you to college. But when I was going to college, like I think FAFSA stuff was like the most important thing, like student aid.
But I did fill it out. I don't know if it's because my family had multiple children and we were all going to, I don't know what the circumstance is, but I'm just telling you the truth is that I paid for my college. And I do try to tell people that if you don't know what you want to do, spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure that out is probably not the right move. Like you can always go to college, you can go later, try to figure out what you're good at, get an internship.
Here's the thing, and I can speak to this because I've gone through undergraduate degrees, I've got an MBA, and I'm also an entrepreneur right now. I'm not really using my degrees. And here's the thing, I think if you're deciding whether or not to go to college or not, you have to look at the job descriptions of what you want the 4 years later after undergrad to see if the amount of investment in college education that you're going to put forth, when is the ROI going to hit? When is your return on investment going to hit? If you're signing up for student loans, you're going to leave $100,000 in debt, and the job market that you're looking towards, or the thing that you want to do, pays you $30,000 per year, $40,000 per year, then that's something that you should not do. Whereas if you're going to invest, let's say, $50,000, you're going to come out of debt, $50,000, but you're going to be making 6 figures because you're following a STEM degree, science, technology, engineering, and math, then the juice could be worth the squeeze. The only thing is that I still think college today is a bit of a scam. The first 2 years are just high school +2. And then the last 2, right? So they hold you there for 4 years. The things that you learn is not necessary for the 4 years that are there. And I think that it's a traditional structure that is not necessary for the modern way that we consume information today. I think when information was locked behind a lockbox in these libraries and these institutions, it made a lot more sense. But now that you can go on to like Harvard.com and take online courses for things, it removes that barrier to entry because the information is now everywhere. Okay? Your degree is like a tool. If you're unable to use your degree after you graduate, then it's mostly your fault for selecting that tool. We have to be able to teach young people this before they sign up, because the colleges will just accept you. Oh, you want gender studies and art history? Yeah, sure. Come on, it's fun. You'll have fun while taking it. Meanwhile, you're making $20 an hour after you graduate for the next 5 years to pay back loans, living poor. So I get it.
Hire people that are right out of high school, because I don't just believe this. Like, there was a young woman that now works for me who was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I kind of just want to be a mom. I was like, do not spend. And her out of tuition rate was $50,000 for an a Tennessee school.
Okay.
And so I hired her. I mean, I'm not telling people, like I said, I tell people how I actually live and what I actually believe. And I don't know that you do that. Don't justify women acting like whores.
There we go.
Don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
What?
Don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
It's not prescribing a lifestyle.
Of course
it's just,
it is. When somebody said that they would be happy not having kids, you were like, oh, she sounds like a conceited bitch or something.
That's not what she said.
That was the TikTok clip you were responding to.
That was not what she said, and I can tell you exactly what she said.
That she was got to go on
I said there was absolutely no reason to make a comment that suggests that she was actually being insulting to people that had kids.
Yes.
It wasn't just one video. She makes multiple videos about how great life is if you don't have kids. If I was making videos with my kids saying about how great life is if you just, stop being a loser and get married, people would come after you because people hate the traditional lifestyle on display.
Wait, but that's literally what you...
Wait, and here's what it is that it's very hard to sell the traditional lifestyle, right? Like, because the traditional lifestyle, a much more conservative lifestyle, involves you being smart with your finances, involves you making decisions that are not always in abundance, but you're considering the future state of the risk of your decisions. When you sell content like that woman about the abundance of life without children, you are removing the happiness in life that can be gained from children or having a mini community or a family for this other life of abundance or a life of singleness, so that you can be more apt to purchase things, so they could put the links to cruise travel packages, so that they could put the links to whatever vacation or lifestyle packages that they can sell to you. Meanwhile, behind the monetization curtain, they cry themselves to sleep at night. Not all, but most. My proof for this: look at all the women that used to call into the Kevin Samuels show, angry because the choices after being marketed the abundance of your feminism has led them to a life of loneliness, to a life of cats. And we could take it a step further. This is why the RP or red pill is not seen as profitable, because you're putting young men on defense as opposed to the abundant offense, as what a content creator that pushes marriage is more likely to do.
You guys say, get married, have kids, that's the only way to go, otherwise you're a loser.
No, we do not. You're just making up words that have never come out of my mouth.
So wait, so if somebody said, if there was a young woman and she was like, I'm 20, I think I'm gonna go to a career and be a whatever, I don't think I wanna have a family, I don't think life's for me, you would say, okay, well that's fine, you should make that choice.
No, I would say that's completely normal at 20 years old. That's
so then they should change their opinion later on. What if she was 25 or 30 and she's like, no, I don't think I wanna have kids? Would you be, okay, that's fine.
If she was a 20-year-old person and she was saying that I don't think that I want to have kids, then what I would say is that's pretty typical, because you're 20 years old and you haven't yet had the biology thing happen to you, which, like, when they say that your biological clock starts ticking, it's very real. When you get into your mid-20s, you have a totally different feeling.
So if a woman is 25 or 30 and says, I don't think I want to have kids, I think I like my career, I'm going to stick with it, you'd say, okay, that's fine, it's your choice.
Yeah, as long as that person isn't trying to, and by the way, I think that person would probably be, it would be unusual. Like, it wouldn't be the majority of women, I think, do want to have families and want to aspire to family, and that's fine. But when you try to create a brand of it and you say things like, oh, well, if you have kids, then you can't just smoke pot and stay in bed and be naked all day. This is actually something that, like, Seth Rogen just said.
Okay.
What you're doing
Sounds
there is
awesome.
You're actually trying to...
What?
You're 30... How old are you? You're 35 years old.
Yep.
Oh, Candace, you're not about to start shaming the young man, are you? My man Destiny over here looking like a deer in headlights, like, please don't break my whole life down in front of all of my followers. But a real quick point involving the biological clock. I'm not sure if an actual biological clock exists within all of our bodies, but what I do know is that most modern women today's constriction regarding, getting married, a lot of this has to do with the culture around them. A lot of them, it's nurtured versus the actual nature. Decades ago, 20 years old was about the time that you'd start figuring out how to settle down. Now it's about 30 years old. What was the Jay-Z song, or what is it? 30 is the new 20. What's also increased over the past several decades is our lifespans on average. So is our lifespans a function of when you feel your biological clock tick? I don't know. Any scientists, get down in the comments right now. But I think it's mostly a cultural impact. That's why we talk so much about the culture over here.
Okay, so what is that? What do I do? Like, if you were 20 and you were saying this stuff,
I travel the world, I get to research and talk about whatever I want, I get to talk to cool people like you and other people, I live in Miami in a high rise for $5,000 a month. I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean,
but I'm saying, like, what are you doing when you're trying to sell to people that you know, being a hoe is cool, smoking pot, saying
I don't necessarily think
being a hoe is
cool.
Are you going to age out of that?
You're a
35-year-old man, right? Like, you know, and you're kind of doing the, like, I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But I just want to point out the fact that you're a 35-year-old man and your words should matter and they should have weight. Like I said, if you were 20, I'd be like, I get it. When you're 35, you know, say things with conviction. Say things that have meaning.
With conviction, yes.
You know, and
like when I asked you, what would you recommend to a woman at 25 and 30? I didn't just start rambling about what a 20-year-old should do and how biologically blah, 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 blah. I would say exactly what I would tell a woman at 25 or 30.
Yeah, I know, but your behavior, and I will appreciate that people that are younger won't understand what I'm saying until you hit 35, which is, I'm going to be 35 this year.
Okay.
You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, we all have our things.
But you're selling to them things that you know aren't good. So
what do you think I'm selling to them?
If you were a 25-year-old, like when I'm on the whatever podcast and I'm surrounded by women that are in their 20s and they're saying, like, you know, the whole life is good. The reason why I said to that girl that I'm going to pray for you is because I know that she's going to have a different perspective when she's older. So I'm not upset by that. I don't feel like that needs to be attacked when those young girls are around me and we're talking about all of these topics. When I'm sitting with a 35-year-old man,
it's different.
Okay, and
what do you think I'm selling people?
And you know better, okay?
Wait, what do you think I'm selling people?
Well, essentially what Candace is saying is that just like the women on the Whatever's podcast are speaking about a lifestyle that is much more short-term gratification focused, not realizing what it's going to turn into later, and by that influencing other women to do that, she's now coming at Destiny saying that, well, you saying things like, oh, that sounds cool, in regards to his lifestyle and challenging him on that. I think that it's an interesting point. Let's see how he answers it.
What I said when you were defending the lifestyle of being a hoe, why are you doing that?
I don't think I defend the lifestyle of being a hoe.
You did a whole video basically saying that none of my points of me trying to tell these women that they essentially, you can do something better, you don't have to sell your body. This was your like snazzy video comeback to it. Why are you making a comeback? Yes, you can make a video and be like, why can't someone do heroin? But why would you as a 35-year-old man want to sell something to someone or make it seem okay or cool or relevant when you know it's harmful to them? I don't get that because of your age.
So, because he probably doesn't realize how harmful that it actually is. You got to remember that the type of woman that you're speaking against was his wife. So at the time that he recorded that video, he had to defend those women because, well, isn't that the woman that he chose to marry? And we all watched how that turned out. Whereas if you had a woman that was more modest, didn't want to be on camera, was an attention seeking, making all these slut comments that have been clipped and has millions of views all over YouTube and TikTok and shit, would have that increase the odds or the chances of the relationship lasting.
I don't know what your takeaway from the video was, or if there are researchers that give you like talking points to my videos, but generally what I talk about is when it comes to lifestyle, you have to analyze both sides of things. If you grow up incredibly religiously conservative and you are like shamed out of sex and you don't have sex with anybody your whole life because you're super, hyper cognizant of your virginity and all of these like weird things, and that's like coming from an unhealthy external place, to say, oh, well, maybe that's worth exploring. On the flip side, if you grow up like hyper liberal and you fuck like 20 guys by the time you're 20 years old and you just want to bang everybody and you've got like weird associations with men and everything, I'd say, hey, you should probably slow down. It's probably not healthy. I just encourage people to like explore honestly, to have like conversations with themselves, with their parents, could be with priests, could be with therapists, could be whatever, and to kind of figure out like what works for them and don't get pushed into one direction from a culture side. It could be the left encouraging people to be way too promiscuous, or it could be the right for people that are shaming people for being promiscuous and saying that, well, this one lifestyle of family stuff is going to biologically be suited towards you as you get older. I think both of these are equally stupid because it just pushes people in the other direction.
So you don't believe in anything?
Okay, to Candace, that was a little bit disingenuous. He's not saying that. Essentially what he's saying is that every human being has to live their life up to their own interpretation. But to Candace's point, I think the problem of what that is that when people become adults, especially in the time frame of the anti-two-parent household, a lot of these young people are just making shit up as they go. And if you learn early enough in life, the morals, the virtues, the lifestyle that makes your life more joyous or more happy, the better in life that you will be. Some people follow religion. Some people follow their own internal code. Some people just make the shit up as they go and live in their truth, or let's live hedonistically. Let's go.
That's what you're saying.
Is that what you got from that?
Well, you're not committing to anything.
I believe in actually thinking for yourself. That's what I think. I think that every human being roughly exists in this like paradigm where if you fuck 100 people by the time you're 20, probably not healthy. If you've never had sex before and you're 30, probably not healthy. And that you should probably like try to gravitate towards what are like human norms, and then what are things that make you happy depending on your culture, depending on your geography. And then you kind of like explore in there, and don't be shamed out of exploring from one side to the other. Don't be pushed into something because somebody like Candace Owens or somebody like Stephen Bonnell tells you that you have to do a particular thing, but just like kind of explore.
I don't tell people that they have to do a particular thing, but if I see see somebody
course
that's
you do.
doing heroin, I'm not going to be like, it is whatever, and it's just like whatever. You're just
Do you think that
having
heroin
your
is comparable to recreational sex?
I am. Quite frankly, I actually think a woman, as the one that I sat across from when you were critiquing this video, who says that she slept with up to 20 men per night. Yeah, it's just as bad. And I know that has to be hurting her soul. So I look at her as a human being.
Hurting her soul? What
yeah.
if she just has a different lifestyle than you?
Doesn't.
Completely. No, she does.
No, what do you mean? She's telling you, she was very honest, actually. And that's why I appreciate her, because she was very honest that for her, it is just about money. Okay. But when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And it's just
that's not normal.
Just as when you see somebody who says that, they're doing heroin or doing this, they don't need the cool guy at the party to be like, yeah, man, it's whatever. It's like, no, you actually structure. You need somebody to say to you, you don't have to do this. There's so much better potential within you. You are young. You have your entire life ahead of you. Let's figure out what it is that you're great at. I understand the economic concerns. It's a really tough economy and it's easy money, but there's other things that you can do to make money that will give you better self-value.
She cooking.
And so that's why I say that I think that what you're doing as a 35-year-old man is you're lying. You're just lying to
Do you think
people.
I'm telling women on average that fucking 20 guys
when
a night
you
is a
make
good idea?
videos and you're replying to conservatives who are rightfully saying that this lifestyle is not good, which should be abundantly clear to every single person.
Right.
Yeah, what you're trying to do is lie in a clever way. And ultimately, like I said, if you were 20, I'd be fine with it. But when
First of all, I don't know why if I was 20, why that would make you fine with it.
Because you have enough learned experience throughout your life now to understand that 20 dudes in one night, there should not even be a question in your mind at all to understand that is a broken soul. That is a broken woman. I mean, it's just creatively lying. I mean, earlier in this conversation, you agreed with Candace, who said that more often than not, if you do OnlyFans in this way, then you're going to face dire consequences later off in life. And you agreed with her right after she said that. Now you're challenging 20 guys a night. Like, really, don't just look at the word. Like, think about for 20 different people, sweat dripping, room hot and dark, viscous innards being smashed, not cared for, just thrown money. How can that be a life worth living in the long haul? I don't care if you're making 6 figures or even 7 figures in a year. That is nasty, nasty work.
Because
you'd have the same influence in your audience regardless.
Because your
Number
brain's
one.
not developed when you're 20.
Number two, so what? Your brain's always developing as you grow.
No, your brain develops when you're 25, 26 years old. And so when you see a 20-year-old and they have a bunch of positions, I don't hold them to it. I
don't think that's with brain development. I think that's with life experience. I think as you grow older,
but like literally factually, I don't know if you want to Google this, but your brain develops when you're 25, 26.
If you really want to Google it factually, the 25 number came from one study that was done like 30 years ago where they only measured brain development up to 25. And the reality is the plasticity of your brain and every other structure of your brain continues to grow into your 30s. That's technically where that number comes from. It's not true. You can look it up later if you want. The 25, 26 thing is a misnomer. It's not actually true.
Well, like I said, if you were 20, sure, I would accept. But there is such a thing as objective truth, and people that shirk and pretend that there's not, and like
objective
everybody can just do whatever they want.
Live your life?
It's about things that are harmful to people.
Truthful.
Like objectively speaking.
So I'm curious. Wait, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is harmful or not harmful?
When you're selling your body and sleeping with old.
I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is like healthy for a human being? Well, like if you go past this, you're like clearly over the line.
I'm not going to say to a person, this is a number that you should sleep with, and this makes you bad.
Don't accuse me of believing in nothing. I'm not speaking out of position where you only attack the most extreme
talking about
people.
The whatever podcast.
I'm going to attack the same people that you do. If some woman is on saying like, oh, you can 20 guys a night and do OnlyFans you're 18, I'm going to say in general, that's a pretty wacky, that's a pretty out there position. I argue with tons of people over this. I don't encourage people to start
OnlyFans. What are you trying to do? What purpose are you trying to fulfill? When you as a 35-year-old man see me sitting down with these young women trying to say, you don't need to do this, you don't have to do this for money, and you like attack it and try to be like, Candace is just a bitch, or like whatever, like she's blah, 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 she's just being a high school mean girl. It's like, no, I am trying to tell these women that they are worth more. And when I said to that girl at the end of it, which I don't believe you showed, that I will pray for you and that you can do much more than this, that came from the heart, actually.
No, that is the most condescending thing a religious person could say to a non-religious person. I will pray for you.
Okay, you can deal with your, I know that you went to a Jesuit school and you've got some issues with somebody.
Why do you think I have issues?
But I meant that because...
I loved my high school.
Because for me to say, like, I meant what I said to her, that I would pray for her. Like, when she was describing
why
her life, she was very upfront.
Why do you need to tell her that you'll pray for her?
Because I did pray for her.
Then do it privately. Why do you need to tell her that. You're only telling her that because you think you've got such a condescension about you. You've got such an air of superiority that you're going to pray for her.
Air of superiority? Because
yeah,
I said I would, God forbid someone says they'll pray. That's obviously an air of superiority because they're saying they're going to include you in their prayers.
Well, I mean, like,
literally
you say,
something
God
that my
forbid,
husband
but like
me,
quite literally, God forbid. Isn't there a whole story of a lady going to a temple and quietly putting like 2% or whatever the fuck into the tray?
Anti-Christian rhetoric. I don't
what is anti-Christian about this?
If you say I'll pray for you, it's obviously you trying to be better. It's like, no, why are you even reacting to that? I'll pray for you. I'll pray for everybody that listens and watches this show. When people say that they're going to pray for you, they actually mean it, you guys. They just mean it. There's no double entendre thing going on there. And anybody that can go back and watch that clip, you will see that I was not speaking above her. I actually genuinely responded to that girl because she was so honest and she was so forthcoming. I thought I actually wanted to do more stuff with her, and we tried to reach out with her because she wasn't trying to lie or trying to pretend like her lifestyle was for health. She was clear that it was for money, and she was like, I'm not going to lie, this is why I do this. And I genuinely prayed for her. Actually, we were not enemies that were sitting across the table. So no, it was not condescending when I said I pray for you. It was a fact. When I left, I said, I will keep you in my prayers because I have in my heart, I want to see that girl in 10 years and know that she left that field and she is able to speak to women that are still within it and think that they have to sell their bodies for money and sleep with 10 men per night. I am going to continue to pray for that young woman because we need people who transform their lives to then show people that they can transform their lives. And it's not condescending to pray for anybody ever. So
okay, I will pray for you too then. Okay.
You should.
Okay.
I hope you pray for me. I want you to include me in your prayers. I want every person watching this to include. But I feel like our society has gotten so like anti-Christian. Like, oh my God, they're trying to be God. It's like, no, like I'll pray for you. I will literally pray for every single person that I think needs a prayer. And I felt like she needed a prayer. Like she could be there, you know?
Okay.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop the video right there. They continue on for a couple of more minutes. Make sure you guys go down to the actual video to go check out the full totality of their comments together. But I do think that Candace has a point in this discussion, similar to how the OnlyFans girls talk favorably regarding their job is a way to remove accountability for the things that they're doing. She calls out Destiny for doing the exact same thing. I'm actually surprised that his relationship didn't come up in this conversation, or his ex-wife rather. I think if she remembered it, it would have been a good point of reference. But I think Destiny's point is that he doesn't want to necessarily influence people. But the thing is that at this stage of notoriety, the things that you say and the lifestyle that you live will. So although Candace shamed him for what I think was like a drug reference, she did so in understanding that there's components of his audience that listens to that and then may make future-based drug decisions because Destiny has no problem with it. But nevertheless, shout out again to these two because the conversation was fantastic. Questions, comments, concerns. Y'all already know what to do. Me, go to turtlesandreviews@gmail.com. Leave your comments down below. Let's get active on this one. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.